All right, we are live. What's up, everybody? It's a Brownwater Banter podcast. I'm Jared Seymour.
I'm Joey Cates.
All right, we got a good show for you today. Our guest on episode, I believe this is episode 61, is Mike from Mike's Weather Page. And I'm going to let Joey do the introduction on that one because he knows a little bit better than I do.
Yeah, Mike is like an independent weatherman. Most of the people around here, if you ever look at the spaghetti models and look at paths of hurricanes, kind of like I am, definitely afraid of it, then you probably know this guy. He's pretty legit in what he does. He's got a huge website. He's got a good fan base, and it's going to be a good one.
Yeah, he's got a big following, I think 1 million. We'll talk to him about that on Facebook, so that's pretty cool. But before we jump in the show, before we bring Mike on, we want to mention, as always, our sponsor. We're proudly sponsored by Southern Magnolia Smiles. That's Dr. Robbie Williams there and his crew. They're locally owned and operated right here in Ocean Springs on Washington Avenue. Man, if you're looking for a great dentist, go check him out. You can get in touch with him at his website, southernmagnoliasmiles.com, or give him a call at 228-215-1202. And proudly sponsored by Dr. Robbie Williams there. So, man, go check him out if you're looking for a dentist, man. So without further ado, let's bring Mike in. And there he is. Mike, what's up, man? How are you doing today?
Excellent. I'm wired. Tropics have got me sleeping 3 hours a night, living on Mountain Dew.
That's right.
Sweet. That's the state drink of Mississippi, I believe. I'm not sure. I have to look that up when we're done.
What about Diet Dew? Diet Dew's mine. I don't know.
Yeah. Either or. But yeah, so we did the introduction there. You got Mike's Weather Page. It's a Facebook page, which has got a very large following. Can you explain to the people watching and listening here, what is Mike's Weather Page and why did you start it?
Well, it started in 2004. Living in Florida, we had Hurricane Charlie, and we had Gene and Francis all back to back, and it was impossible to find any graphics online. So I was going to school and learn a little bit of HTML, and I said, I'm gonna make me a website for put all my favorite links on a page, and that was pretty much it. I shared it with friends and family. I never bought the domain until a couple years later, and it's still to this day like a one-stop shop for tropics. That's kind of what Jim Cantori is a fan of the site. He says it's that. So it's still kind of my little page. Every time I find a new little graphic or something that might be interesting, I'll throw it on there, and it kind of the go-to spot for a lot of people. And the Facebook, like you mentioned, grew. I think 2009, 2010, social media, got really blown up, and that's half of me is Facebook. So the website's a big deal, but the Facebook's become a big deal too.
Yeah, we've already got some comments coming in. A friend of ours, Kyle Johnson, I had it up here. I'll pull it up again. He said we're big time if we're talking to Mike from Mike's Weather Page. So
no doubt,
that's good to hear. But yeah, that's awesome. So it's obviously something you're into, right? You're a big fan of weather.
I don't know. I'm so addicted. It's a crazy addiction. I think, and there's a lot of people that follow along with me during these tropical seasons, and you just get you just get into it. Like every model, every 6 hours, it just becomes you. It's crazy. I mean, I just love it. I don't know.
Yeah, you're not affiliated with anybody or anything. You're just a guy at his house who loves weather, right?
Yeah, totally. Self-taught. I'm learning. I always claim I'm not any professional. The joke is I'm a social media-ologist is what they call us now. They're like people that sit behind their desks in their underwear and do weather reports. So, but it's cool. I in our claim to fame, I got a liquor ABC out of Florida sponsors me. We drunk donkeys become our image. So it's kind of neat. It's like all the armchair, quarterbacks gets to talk weather, and but I've been blessed along the way. I do have a lot of reputable people that are fans, and yeah, it's cool. It's like I'm riding the wave. Every year it just gets better and better, and hopefully I don't lose who I am.
Yeah. Well, it's a known fact on the show. I don't know if you're probably not aware of this, but Joey is deathly afraid of the weather. So you're his go-to, one of his go-to guys. That he, if anything's brewing or a thunderstorm, I think Joey runs right over to your page and starts checking it out. So you're like a Xanax to him or some type of anti-anxiety medicine.
This is like beating one of my heroes, right?
No, I appreciate that, man. I hope I don't let you down, but
No.
yeah, the number one thing that I get is hype, and that's the number one thing people hate with tropics and media. And this year, being election year and COVID, it doesn't seem like we're getting as much tropical hype yet. And I think this storm that's coming, ECE was that problem for the Carolinas. There was very little coverage on it, and they got hit really hard. So the media feeds into the hype, and that's the number one compliment I get. So I got to tone down sometimes, because when I start to see a bunch of models, agreeing, then I get a little excited because I see confidence, and I got to tone it down. Not that I wish cast, but there are a lot of wish casters out there that and then with social media, my God, there was a map, you probably saw it right after ECE. It was showing the Gulf GFS run with a big hurricane in the Gulf, and it was one. Yeah, it was coming right to you guys, and it was one run, but man, it shared. There was hundreds of thousands of shares, and that that was a clickbait,
Right.
But
yeah, and what you do is just put out models, and all those models are just best guesses, right? Because nobody really knows where it's going to be exact. It's just what front's going where and what pushes it and how that all works, right?
Yeah, I think for me, I used to jump into all the one models, but over the years, I've learned model consistency is huge. Understanding ensembles of models, just because the one run of the Euro shows this, the Euro has 51 ensembles that run after, and that kind of tells you what the overall Euro's thinking. Another thing I've learned a lot over the years is the steering patterns are huge, like you mentioned, with fronts and high pressures and other variables. Like, let's say one model's showing a strengthening hurricane. You can look at things ahead and say, oh well, the water's hot, it's entering a low shear environment. We got this MJO pulse, so yeah, there's a lot. When I go all in, I have to believe in something. That's the only thing that I have gotten, I think, better is I try not to jump unless I see consistency, and we're seeing that right now with our system now. Is it's really odd. The GFS and Euro are showing Zippo, but there's a lot more models that are showing the possibility of something, a double whammy coming, Invest 97, 98. So a lot of people are just on pins and needles right now because your big time meteorologists are so old school with the Euro and the GFS. They're like, man, they're not showing anything, but I don't think they're doing that good. I mean, Hannah this year in Texas wasn't supposed to be a 40-mile-an-hour tropical storm. It was a 90-mile-an-hour hurricane, and ECE blew up. So even though we think we know, man, the models, they make more mistakes every year, it seems like.
There's a lot of hot water in that Gulf, too, and that's hurricane buffet for sure.
Yep, it definitely is.
We got another comment coming in. One of the fans of the show here, former guest of the show, Pepper, says Mike is king. So you're definitely known here on the Gulf Coast for
That's
sure.
That's great, man. Well, hey, golf. I mean, you guys are hurricane central. I mean,
yeah. Unfortunately, that's correct.
I'm sure you were sweating bullets with Michael. Michael made that last little turn. So yeah, I'm looking at Invest 97 now. This is expected to slow down in the Western Caribbean on the weekend, and a lot of the models are having to go beeline north. So you guys could possibly early in the week be looking at a strengthening name system.
Yeah.
Michael was the one that went into Mexico City Beach, right? Is that the one?
Yep.
Yeah. I'm headed down there this weekend for a party we're going to, and I talked to another buddy down there. He said it is still tore up completely.
Yeah.
I mean, all the trees and everything else is all over.
It's sad. It's sad because they call it like these storms, they become forgotten. FEMA, a lot of red tape. It's tough on these folks, man. They Blue Tart. I think there's a documentary online called Blue Tart City or something where it just shows the amount of people's roofs are still, not fixed. And same thing happened this last week in Iowa. They had 130-mile-an-hour winds were documented on that Directo, they called it, and their cornfields wiped out. So yeah, weather sucks. I mean.
Yeah,
I get a lot of that wish, people get excited when there's a storm. I used to get excited. I used to wake up to the Weather Channel and see the cone and get excited if it's pointing to me. But in reality, you don't want one of these things.
No, life shuts down, man. It's not a good experience at all.
Yeah.
True.
I know people with COVID-19 being what it is right now, and people dealing with the lockdown, especially when it first began and we first went into like the stay-at-home orders and stuff. I just remember talking to people and being like, "This reminds me of Hurricane Katrina for us, except extended, and you don't know when it's going to end. A lot less physical devastation, but as far as the nowhere to go, nothing to do kind of thing, I felt like we had already been dealt with that before coming from the Gulf Coast and hurricanes."
Yeah, it's and that's a big worry for some folks too. Is the evacuations? If we did have evacuations, how each government, every county's different, and I'm not really up on it all. But those are real questions that are going to come into play. Especially the other system, Invest 98. There's a good shot that it could end in the South Florida, and of course, they're having higher spikes than other parts of Florida. So I don't, that's a big question. How are they going to handle if they have to do evacuations and, or shelters?
Yeah. I didn't even think about that. That's a good
school
point.
I work with, a hurricane shelter, and how are you going to keep, hundreds and hundreds of people 6 feet apart with masks and water and everything else?
Oh yeah. And I don't think they would tone down the predictions. But, I don't know. It just does, like ECEA was a shocker because I had a lot of fans that live on Oak Island and they got hit hard. And, most of them said there was very little talk. And I'm surprised with these being that we're within 5 days now possible, hurricane. I mean, we could have there is a chance we could see 2 hurricanes at the same time impacting Upper Gulf and South Florida. And that's unprecedented. Right. And that's only 5 days away, 6 days. So, yeah, we got a lot going on.
So we got another comment here from Pepper. He wants to know what the difference is between a TV meteorologist and someone like you who does what you do, other than the obvious. He said you're the most trusted weather guy in his book.
Well, thanks, Pepper. I see your picture down there. Basketball, right?
Yeah, you'd have to know the guy. It's a fitting photo.
I think it's Braves. I'm a big Rays fan, so I don't know if I'm going to answer this. No.
Yeah.
But no, seriously, that came up today. As a matter of fact, I'll get the occasional meteorologists. They got the schooling, they got the meteorology degrees. They spent their money, they went to accredited schools, so they don't like guys like me, that are stealing their thunder. That's the bottom line. I wouldn't like it because everybody's competing for fans, everybody's competing for views. So yeah, I can feel that tension. I think what's happened though is there's so much models out there that most of the time they're looking at the same stuff I have. I mean, I got paid sites. I have access to all the data they have. They're not getting anything magical that I'm not getting. So it's just how you interpret the data. I mean, you could live and die just by the NHC forecast and be safe. You could, a lot of meteorologists just do it. They'll put this 5-day cone up. Here it is. If it doesn't pan out, they can blame the National Hurricane Center, So having, and how you interpret the models basically, and people want me to throw out my thoughts sometimes, and they like that. And what we're saw this year already, almost every storm has a story where the models were wrong or a forecast. So nobody's ever going to be 100% right. That's for sure. I think what's better is expanding more into the what ifs, and they can't do that in a 3-minute broadcast either. And that's the other thing, that their hands are tied, when they're on air. And it can't be free and fluid and say their thoughts sometimes because, if it doesn't happen, there's a lot of more media backlash. So they have to be a little more conservative, So that's the big difference. I think as far as what they, obviously meteorologists know a lot more than I know. I don't claim to know half the stuff they know, but as far as hurricanes go, there's only a certain amount of things that affect these. And I live on Twitter and absorb everything, and everybody's learning. It's an evolving industry, no doubt.
Yeah, that's one of the good things I think about social media. There's always reasons to bag on it, but it has democratized a lot of things and allowed people like Joey and I and what you're doing to have a voice and to have a little bit longer format than like you said, a 3-minute segment. I'm sure, like you said, you're competing for fans too, but you don't have to manipulate your reporting to appease anybody above you, right? You just talk what you want to say.
Yeah, and you guys hit on the same thing. We got a show here in Orlando, the Tom and Dan show, and they was the first thing they said was their opinion is sometimes these Mets might be kind of manipulated a little bit on directions they have to go. I mean, I'm not
Yeah.
going to call out, Weather Channel or any of these, but that's what people think on, that's what the public thinks sometimes is either A, they're overhyping, or B, underhyping. So how do you do the right thing? I know Michael was underhyped in that area, and not that I was any genius or anything, but I was sharing these models, just putting it out there. Hey, we got 5 or 6 models showing 920, 930, 940 millibar system, and the NHC was showing a tropical storm at landfall, and I'm like, listen, I live and die by these models, and we got almost every, so people took that to heart, and people got out, and it did pan out. And same thing happened with Dorian last year. They were underestimating the common sense, and I think a lot of the common sense is lost. Maybe too much is maybe put into these models, and people are just forgetting the old school common sense.
Right.
That makes it.
But you mentioned your websites. You use a couple of different ones, and Hurricane Hunter. What was his name, Sergeant? Who was on there with us, Jared?
I'll have to think about it in a second.
He brought up as soon as we did an interview with him, he brought up Tropical Tidbits. And I was like, man, I know where Tropical Tidbits are. I've seen Tropical Tidbits before. And he was like, yeah, we use it. A whole bunch of people use it. And it was weird that, that dude's flying into a hurricane and we're getting the same thing pretty much from you. You know what I'm saying? But it's a paid website, right?
Tropical Tidbits is free, and I have it linked on my site. So I know Levi, not personally, but he's a big dog meteorologist now, PhD. So, but he puts out some great graphics, and they're free. And they're I have the link on the site, and there's a couple other free sites I have linked. So yeah, it's cool that there's a lot of places to get your stuff now. And so when I post a lot, I always make sure to give them credit, and that's one thing they hate too is people steal their stuff and blast it all over the internet. So we have a good relationship. Weathernerds.org is another great site, and I try to use their 2 sites. As far as the government sites go, I've been really fortunate. People from NOAA and NASA and National Weather Service, they all praise me for using the graphics because they have great tools, but I think the average person has a hard time finding them.
Right.
So hopefully that's the traction of the site too. It's easy to get
because all those are on your site. It's about everything that you can find out there is linked to your site. Right?
I'm always tweaking it. So
it's kind of like Joey, the Walmart of weather.
That was a Major Mark Withy. I could remember Mark. I couldn't remember his last name. I didn't want to say it wrong.
That you guys had a hunter on there?
Yeah. One of the Hurricane Hunters, Keesler Air Force Base, where they fly out of, is literally right down the road from where we are.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, they tweet me sometimes. They're cool. They apparently use the site too, so that's cool.
Yeah. They're some really nice guys over there. I wanted to ask a little bit about how you grew whether it's your website or mainly, I guess, your Facebook. Was it natural, you think? Was it a natural progression? Did you try to get it that big, or?
Well, it's definitely compounds. There's no doubt. Facebook's got these algorithms that are nobody understands them, and who sees your stuff. And I think what helped me more than anything was Facebook Live. They blast Facebook Live on their feeds when somebody goes live.
That's right.
That helped me a lot. I think the whole turn to people turning to Facebook as their source for news has helped it. And the number one thing was just constant posting. And if you don't post and people don't interact, they lose it. And I think the key was, at the beginning stages, I would put some comedy out there, or just always engaging everybody. And it's just slowly progressed. And I think once you get 1,000, then it gets to 2, then it gets to 4, then 8. It just, I remember when I first hit 5,000, I was so excited. I had to the girl bartender at Chili's. I'm like, hey, I'm at $4.99 here. Like my page. And now, during the big storm, it'll gain 50,000. It's not. I'm not doing anything different. It's just your reach just expands. And I don't know. We got a good group. It's cool. Most people, I can count on one hand the people that I've had to ban. It's really become fun. It's like a family. I tell everybody.
Now you on your page, you got a little VIP sponsor place as well, right?
Well, yeah, Facebook does that now on pages. You can be a supporter, and I did it last year because I had people ask me, hey, I want to tip you. Well, they give you a badge. It says Facebook supporter, and they actually have a chat room you can set up that I didn't really use last year, but now I have a little chat room that the diehards are loving. You can put units up and you can categorize different sections, and so yeah, it's a little perk and it's cool. I mean, people love the social media side, and they just talk among themselves, and it's turned into a cool little perk, to keep my diehards really happy. We call ourselves cone heads because they live and die by the cone of uncertainty.
Right.
And
explain us the drunk donkey, man. Where did that come from, and how did that start up?
I don't know, but I like it. I'm going to say that.
Well,
right out the gate.
It was pure luck. I had a meteorologist during Hurricane Florence. In fact, I got a pin here I'm holding. Somebody sent me with my donkey logo. But I just had a meteorologist. I was sharing a model that was showing not what they were showing. And it was one of them deals where I was confident Florence was going to dip a little south. And they started out to show some dude, they went off. Some dude down in Florida, any drunk donkey can share a model from, and she said tropical tidbits, which was so funny. Like, the way the tone was like, she was mad, obviously, because people up there were hounding their station because of what I was sharing. And they didn't know who I was. And, obviously she probably thought I was just some kid, which there's a lot of them out there doing weather. Well, all my people went over there and attacked them. And the next day I had a shirt made and the logo, and it was more for fun. I took zero offense to it. But all of a sudden all our people were like, we want a shirt, man. We're part of the Drunk Donkey Nation, It was kind of offending all of us because of, just amateur, like your local karaoke bar trying to compete with the Garth Brooks or something, but it was harmless.
You went full Eminem on her. You turned it around. And
yeah. Oh, it's great. Now my dogs have become famous. We got 2 Frenchies, and people love it. The merchandise is kind of all this has happened. I can't even explain it, but it all takes people. I mean, once you get a group of people on your side, you just roll with it. And we have a really cool little thing going. Except when the tropics are heating up, I got to tone it down and get serious.
Yeah,
that's awesome, man.
Look, so another comment rolling in. Amy says you're her favorite.
Oh, cool. Thank you, Amy.
And then Annie here says Mike is greater than Jim Cantori. I like that. That's good.
I want to meet him and have a beer.
You haven't met him yet. You haven't met him
yet.
No,
No, he follows me on Twitter, which is neat. Stephanie Abrams one time praised the site, which is really cool. So yeah, one day we'll meet up. There's going to be a storm somewhere that he tracks, and hopefully
that's the only bad thing when you see him.
Yep, that's the funniest meme ever.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask you. Like, I'm assuming you do most of your broadcasts from just your location, right? You don't travel like he does, right?
No, right. I've been for fun, like this ECE. We went over on the other coast, Cocoa Beach, and did a little storm chase, and it was fun. But I gotta, I have to do what I do here, so I can't really leave. I feel like I'd be leaving all my followers that need to track this thing. So it's tough.
Right.
I'd love to, but I can't,
I guess it's a good thing though, because for us down here, I remember specifically, I'm walking through Walmart one night late at night, and I look up in the aisle and it's Jim Cantori walking down the aisle. And I'm like, what the hell are you doing here? Because that's not a good thing, right? I'm assuming you don't have that same type of response if people see you out in public. That's a good thing.
Right. No, most of my people want to sit down and have a beer, drunk donkey. Yeah. So,
no offense, Jim. You know what I'm saying, man.
Oh, yeah. No, I hear you.
I've never spoke to you, but I'm sure you're a great guy.
Oh, yeah. No, that's funny. That's the funniest picture on the internet is like when you see Jim Cantori, you better run,
Yeah. That's right.
So, yeah, it's we got stuff, brewing. It's going to be an interesting week or two here. So, yeah, you guys need to pay attention because there's a lot of models showing the second one popping right through the Florida Straits, maybe even South Florida, and keeping that Northwest thing right smack dab your direction. So,
yeah, it's very, I hate to say this, Katrina-esque, but it's almost on the same path. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And
low Florida, low rider, I guess you call it, and then straight up. So
right, it hasn't developed yet, but it looks awfully good. Right. So
yeah,
but
it'll work. What? Just talk about ABC, man. They sponsor you. Are you a big whiskey drinker, or what's your?
Oh hell yeah. I'm a
choice.
Well, I love Jack Daniels, and that's always my go-to. We go camping, and I met a friend of mine Mark Reese, he always brings a different bottle of whiskey or bourbon. So that's kind of a tradition now. Is I go to my local ABC and I'll look at the walls. Hey, this looks good. So yeah, I love it. And I'll have to admit I've gotten into the seltzer craze, which that's like I wish they made a fat bottom can, but I love that. I love my Miller Lite. And
I can't lie. I drank them too for a little bit there. The seltzers. I'm not gonna.
I think everybody did.
Yeah, I didn't act like I didn't.
Closet seltzer drinkers out there.
Pour them in a cup so nobody knows what you're drinking.
Right. You can put a little vodka in them.
Yeah,
that works.
That ain't a bad idea, as a matter of fact. Mike's hitting us with the good ideas today. I like that. But so how'd that come about, man? I mean, they just obviously heard about what you're doing and reached out?
Yeah, they did. They're located in Florida. That's home base. They got like 100, almost 30 stores now. So they're pretty big in Florida. But the whole corporate side, I guess, fell in love with what I do. And one day they just said, hey, we should reach out and, have Mike be a sponsor, a Facebook influencer kind of thing that's big right now. And so this is the second year. Apparently the CEO and stuff loves us, and they wear Drunk Donkey shirts, and we're working on a beer. Hopefully that comes about with one of the local breweries, and they're going to stock it for me. And
wow.
Once COVID goes away, we can do meet and greets, and it's just crazy. Yeah, and Koozie hooks me up with some printed gear as kind of a sponsored thing, and so yeah, it all is all hand in hand. But as on a serious side, they have a lot of investment in Florida with hurricanes, and they found my information helpful because they got to send out 128 or however many stores they have information on storms, and they get it from. So it's neat. It's really cool. It's cool to have a sponsor. I've learned that believes in you. Because it's hard to put a money value on what you're worth. I mean, obviously sponsorships, like even NASCAR, they're not getting all that money returned. But a lot of it's who you represent, and if they believe in you, then it's cool because then they don't expect like massive returns.
Right. They just want to be a part of what you're doing. I like that.
Yeah.
Joey, what you got? Anything else, man? You're the
man. Mike, keep us updated, man. I know we'll be going to your page. My wife, as soon as I get on, my wife's like, "What's Mike got to say about it?" So we'll be watching and seeing, and hopefully it'll get out of here. Don't develop. It won't hit anybody, and I guess you'll stay busy keeping us where it goes.
Yeah, this is the weird time that I feel like I'm not hyping the models, but I'm really seeing the chance for these to develop. And I'm a little disappointed in some of the Mets that I've seen online, not from here, but just overall that are downplaying it. And I have fans that say that their local Mets said it's going to, dissolve and be nothing. But that's so much as be riding on the GFS and Euro. They're not looking at all the models or the ensembles and the conditions ahead. I mean, every condition ahead right now, unfortunately, is favorable for development. So we're going to see that tone pick up, and once that happens, the hype machines will be back on the news, and so definitely be watching it. I mean, I'm looking at spaghetti models right now for Invest 97, and there's 3 or 4 going straight up towards the middle Gulf. So, and you guys will be on the east side. So even a landfall into Louisiana, you'd get surge, and then like I said, you could be 2 to 3 days later, we could be talking about the other one passing through Florida. So you guys got a lot to watch. This is
that would be terrible.
Yes.
Never happened. I think I read a stat, and they've never had 2 named storms in the Gulf at one time. So
I'd like to keep it that way.
Yeah. 2020, man.
We're coming up on the 29th of August, which is a significant date for us people down here on the Mississippi Gulf Coast. That's the Katrina Day. So yeah. But Mike, man, we appreciate you taking time out to jump on here and chat with us.
Yeah.
It was really informative, man, and I dig what you're doing. I know Joey's a super fan. People, if people want to follow you, I'm gonna throw it up here on the screen at Mike's Weather page. I know that's you on Facebook, and you said you're also on Twitter.
Yeah, all you gotta do is search Mike's Weather page. So yeah, I got a YouTube channel now. We stream on Twitter, Periscope, all that good stuff. But all you gotta do is search Mike's, and it'll pop up. So
yep, there's a picture of it right there, people. The donkey and all. So
I gotta
Yeah, we got the donkey. So, Mike, thanks again, man. Hopefully, we don't do the double storm in the Gulf thing, but maybe we'll talk to you after this
Yeah,
hurricane.
anytime. Yeah, anytime.
Yeah.
Especially if you got a storm brewing up that way and need me to come on or something, that'd be great. So it's
Sweet,
nice to meet
man.
you.
Yep,
That'll
same
work, Mike.
here.
Appreciate
You
it,
have
man.
a good day, man. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Well, that was a good one, Joey.
That was.
I
Mike,
hope we
my
don't
boy,
break any
man.
records with the double storm in the Gulf, but we'll see, I guess, right?
Yeah, I hope not. I hope. I mean, he's gonna get fired up about it, but I hope it doesn't happen.
Yeah, that's for sure. But I want to thank everybody for tuning in and watching, and all the people that are listening on the replay of the audio podcast. We really appreciate it. Really appreciate all the support that we've been getting here. And same goes for us, man. If you want to follow us or check us out at Brownwaterb, you can find us on Facebook, which is more than likely where you're watching this now. We're on Twitter as well. We're on Instagram. We have a website, brownwaterbanter.com. And we're also on Spotify, all the podcast platforms. You can listen to us there if you don't have time to watch. So thanks again for the support. We got hats for sale as well. Joey, show them the hat, and T-shirts. You can find those on our website. Yep, that's it, brownwaterbanter.com. Until the next one, man, we got some ideas lined up. Some things are brewing, trying to bring y'all all things Gulf Coast, whether it be outdoors and fishing, the weather, bourbon, business owners, whatever. We'll see you on the next one.
Later.